Someone recently brought up a question that first came up, I'm going to say 22, 23 years ago, around 1994, 95, somewhere along in there. I was visiting with someone. They asked the question, what if some other group did the same thing we did and elected a pope? Let's say both elections occurred on July 16, 1990. And let us consider the conditions in 1987, 1990, when I was working towards a papal election, and even going clear back to the 1970s, Father Saines, Dr. Benjamin Franklin Dryden, to name two. Even Malachi Martin was on the fringes in 87 to 90, because he praised the book we wrote to promote the election. There was no internet. Communication was by letter, although we did have contacts worldwide who also had contacts. So the message actually got out, but it is theoretically possible another group could have reached the same conclusion and we didn't find each other and join and have one election. That was a possibility at the time. And so, what if we both proceeded exactly at the same time? Why did we hold a papal election? Did we hold a papal election because I wanted to be pope? If we did, that was wrong. My attitude in accepting the election should be to work for the good of the church. Now, we have two men claiming to be pope. Both of them are Catholic, all right? We know what happened in the Western schism, okay? In fact, the Western schism paved the way for the Protestant revolt, okay? Because while we're busy messing with this problem of 2 then 3 claimants of the papacy, the ideas of Protestantism got their start with Huss and Wycliffe. In any case, we don't have that concern now because we've already had the modernist revolt, which culminated in Vatican II and then its perfidious spirit. We've already had that. I mean, we've already been decimated. So two small groups get together and elect popes at different places. Now we come, let's say, when the question first came out, let's say it's 1995, we now find out about each other. What do? Well, the two groups arranged to meet and to send electors, and both claimants resigned. Because I did not accept the papal election because I wanted to be pope. I wanted to do God's will for the good of the church, and I believed it was then, I believe it is now. Okay? So, if my claim to the papacy stands in the way of God's will, it's time for me to resign. The other claimant should do the same thing, and then we have a new pope elected. And then we all submit in holy obedience to the new pope, as Gregory XII would have if he had lived to the date of the election of Pope Martin V, his successor, who was elected Constance, to end the Western schism. Okay, so that is a theoretical question. But this person was asking recently, what if the other claimant won't step aside? For whatever reason, good, bad, or indifferent. I personally told this person, and I'm telling you right here, I'd step aside. We need one pope, and we need to work together. I'd rather be working with someone who elected on the same basis we did, even if his claim is not as solid. For instance, there is a principle, first in time, first in right. And that brings us to the practical question. There have been 3 other groups elect. The first 2 were influenced by Ken Mock, who was influenced by the people who arranged the election that finally led to my election and other resources we brought to bear. Ken Mock did add some good information to the validity of this action. The first group proceeded in 1994 in Assisi, Italy. There were some took-line bishops involved, traditionalist priests, These were more like fringe traditionalists. Some, like Victor von Pence, who was elected, was ordained in the Ukrainian rite, valid. I think some of the others, they were like fringe took line, still, plenty valid. I don't know if any from the Palmarian line were there. Now, another video I've gone into why I reject like Clemente, Palmar, Detroit, etc. Not going to go into that. I'm only going to discuss the actual real elections. 1994, Victor von Pence is elected as Linus II. 1998, Father Earl Lucian Pulvermacher was elected as Pope Pius XIII. And this leads us to, and okay, I'll go ahead and mention the group in South America. I can't remember the names. They elected one pope, died, elected another pope, died, elected a third pope. And over in a few years, the third pope is resigned into oblivion. Of course, Pius XIII is dead with no successor. Linus II is virtually resigned. But that brings us to an actual case. We're talking, okay, this was Gordon Bateman, who participated in the 1998 election. The 94-98 election, at least those people were aware of the 90 election. I've talked to people involved with both. And well, no, Father Pulvermacher was aware. Sent him a copy of the pre-election book. So he knew it was coming. And I talked to several people in the 94. They knew I was there. Ken Mock, one of his articles for the 98, talks about my election. He said it was insufficient. In any case, Gordon Bateman was involved in the 98 election, was created Cardinal by Pius XIII, ordained and consecrated. You can find out the details online. TrueCatholicChurch.us or something now. The TrueCatholicChurch.org was owned by someone who separated from Pius XIII, and I think it's total shutdown. In any case, we're going to look at Gordon Bateman. In about 2001, I believe, I was out west. Well, I had difficulty getting an email, and I missed it. Gordon Bateman and his sister, and possibly some others, sent out a letter to every sedevacantist, priest, bishop, leader, to myself, Linus II, and Pius XIII, asking all of us to get together and elect a pope. And further ask myself, Linus, and Pius to resign in favor of a new election that would be accepted by all the sedevacantists. Well, when I got an email from a friend who had gotten the letter. They were looking for me because they had two lists. Here's the ones we know and have contacted, and here's the ones we're looking for, and I was still lost. So I sent them a quick email immediately because I had an email address. You can take me out of lost and put me into found. I will comment on your letter momentarily. I wanted to get out of lost and into found. And I said that in principle, I'm in favor of the idea. And I would resign if it was brought together. Now, personally, I sat down with myself, figured out how do I do this in such a way to ensure we don't end up with another vacancy. Okay. I was not going to resign until the election was actually assembled and I would be present. Not that I care to vote. I just want to make sure that this election is going to happen. I don't want us to go back into a sede vacante. That would have been my concern. I responded favorably. They had contact with Linus II because he actually sent out a Christmas message like a year later. And he sent one direct to me, so I tried contacting him back directly. Pius XIII would not cooperate. Their problems they found out about him. His problems, though, are definitely a dead issue, if you will. And they didn't get much response from the sedevacantist priests and bishops, which was a shame. And nothing actually ever came of this effort. But I was willing to work with it because I am sitting here not because I want to be Pope, But because I believe there needs to be a pope for order in the church, and God's will has apparently made me pope at this moment. If there is another, if he wants something else, he will make a plan come together and be successful to provide. I would consider him my successor. Most people might not. We'll let history sort that one out if something like that happens. But I'm here for the good of the church, not to promote myself. That's how I entered the election process 30 years ago, so in 1987. How I accepted the election on July 16, 1990. I'm here for the good of the church. Therefore, I cannot be looking out for me. And the good of the church may require me to make sacrifices. It already has in some efforts. So this is a very good question. And so let us pray and work together for the good of the church. Self's got to go. Benedictionem potentes, Patris, Filii, Spiritus Sancti, Sen Super Vos, et Mani et Semper. Amen. God bless you all, and have a good day.